Hello and welcome back to my new episode. On today's episode I'm making a character for my first card that I want to make in tarot series about tarot and how I perceive it, how I want to perceive it. This will be my deck for me, and this will be about my perception about life, my beliefs, my thinking process, and I will explain how I came up with the idea of this creation, of my creation. If you're interested, you can continue watching. If you're not, you can click away, but I explained what I'm gonna do in this series. So, when I first started this project, I didn't know where to start. So I started with what I know. And what I know the best is how to make a head. And so I started with it. Then, when I made a neck and started making lungs, I decided that I want to make lungs with ribs sticking, merging together. But when I tried to do that, I understood that I don't have the skill set for it yet, and that I cannot make it. So I decided to go in a different direction, and basically made a bottle cap out of the head. So it would look like a cork, the lungs. So then when I got the body, I decided that I want that part of the body to be the only part of the body that is human, that has flesh. And because of that, later I will put on pants on and try on to put skirt, because I thought that it felt too naked, even though when I started it I was thinking of making a human, but because I gave it a human part, it made me feel uneasy that it wasn't covered. Why it made me feel uneasy? Because in the end I'm, in a way, making part of myself, trying to show myself and what I think, perceive, and because of that it felt somehow wrong to be completely naked. And also I was thinking about YouTube algorithm, and that it most likely wouldn't like that. So now that now that I had gotten to the hands, I thought that usually arms are drawn, made in the same way, in the same side, in the same position. So I thought, why not reverse it? Why not put it completely opposite way? So I wanted to try that. But then came complication that I thought that could be later annoy me. And what is that complication? That complication is basically the thought that the clipping, weight painting, because I made the arms completely straight, they wouldn't clip correctly, and I didn't like that thought, so I decided to break them. So I broke both of the arms while making them, so it would look better. When I was making the legs, I was thinking of doll legs. Because in a way, when I was thinking of the fool, I'm thinking of a person who is always drawing again with a childish mind, childish perspective, like it's completely new, exciting, interesting, and it's an adventure. So I wanted to incorporate that with legs, hat, and hands, because I thought that if I'm making a longer project, I have to make hands, even if they're not perfect, since I don't really practice making hands. Making feet also came with complications, because I understood that I don't have any practice in doing that. The same way I don't have practice in making hands, and the same way I don't have enough skill set to make lungs with sticking ribs out as I wanted them. But it is okay. Because of that, I made a bit foolish, a bit interesting shoes that I really enjoyed. Really. So when I started making hat, I foolishly thought that I know how it looks and that I don't need the reference photo. So first attempt of it really failed, but it is okay because I tried again and made completely different hat and it looks much better and I love it. I really enjoyed making it. So let's go back to the human body, because the human part of the character. Since before I decided that it needs pants or something to cover it up, I thought of trying to break it even more so it wouldn't look human. But because in my head I had decided that it is human, I wasn't able to break it, wasn't able to completely make it not human anymore. Because from my perception, it already had become human. So that made me think, why does the broken part seem to be the one that bothered me, seem to make me think that somehow if something is broken, or that it makes the person less human. Since basically most of my art is built on the thought that how to confuse, how to use, and also how to improve, how to make the imperfections look perfect from my perspective. And when I started thinking about that, I came to the realization that most of the success stories, most of the beliefs that are ingrained in our society, at least from my perspective, are from the thought that it should be easy somehow. That somehow you have to know it all already, that somehow you have to achieve everything at one time. And nobody talks about failures or how much time did it really take, or effort or practice. And that somehow is still ingrained in me, even though I still believe that putting in effort even a little bit, small steps at a time, with time you will achieve it. Why? Because you didn't give up. Because in the end you tried and tried and tried again. And that is really what is Fool about. Trying again. Foolishly going on an adventure that you don't know if you'll finish. Well, that is at least from my perspective. Again, I am not going from the traditional tarot and or even any decks. This is about me. Yeah. So, about retopology. I was really, really, really happy that I watched a 30-minute video about speed retopo and I tried it out because, yes, it speed up my process quite a lot and I really enjoyed using it. Also, I really enjoyed one of the bugs where all the vertices, all those dots, were slowly running away when I clicked on them. So when I was procrastinating, I just was watching how they slowly run away and try to move them back into places. I really enjoyed that. It was so much fun. Though it was easy fix, you just needed to restart one of the modifiers, which with speed retopo was very, very easy. So, continuing on explaining. While I was retopologizing, I also understood that I haven't retopologized in a while. And because of that, some of the things I had forgotten about topology that while I was studying hard surface modeling in beginning, hard surface, cannot pronounce, hard surface modeling, yes. Hard surface modeling, which is basically not making a sculpt and just going into edit mode and editing meshes, shapes, and then trying to achieve what I want with the mesh, with the creature, with the creation, and making them in that way without a sculpt. It is a faster process from the perspective that you already get the finished product at the end that you can easily texture paint, but the problem with it that it has a lot of limitations if you don't have a starting image, if you don't know where you already are going. But as I explained before, usually when I create my artwork, I don't really know how I'll end up at my goal. I don't have a clue. I just know that I'll create something interesting, at least for me, and that I will end up there. So how will I do it? That will depend on how stubborn I am feeling at that moment. Because sometimes I am way too stubborn to learn something new, and then I'm just using the same information that I learned before, which is nice, because in a way, repetition makes it easier, makes it, saves it better in the head. Yeah. Oh, I had so much struggle with making these legs. Yeah, it wasn't fun at the beginning because I didn't even know where to start with them. Then I decided to start from the other side, and when I was doing that, I didn't know how to fix that bug about reapplying the subsurface modifier, I think. That was it. So yeah, I had a lot of trouble with it, but somehow I still finished it. Still achieved it. Though it is fun watching all the vertices run away. Watching all the parts just slowly go somewhere else where they shouldn't be. Still enjoyable. Little imperfections. Also, talking about retopology. Retopology is really time consuming, very meditative, because you don't really have to think about it much when you know what you're doing. And also, it is the only way how to optimize the mesh completely without any additional things, because all the other programs only give options where mesh can be quite chaotic and not really give the result that I want. Since most of my creations that I make for longer projects have the limitation of 20,000 vertices, how I found out with this project. Because I am trying to make it for other, like an avatar for VRChat. And also I want to make it for like a display in a world, because I think it would be fun to see like a world and then a card. But that will be most likely a part 2 when I get there. Since right now I don't want to work on the worlds and trying to display the pieces and think of how to do it, but I'm more concentrating on the more avatars that I want to create. And then I will think, how do I do it? Either way, the next card in the deck will be Magician, which will be a fun card since I have to incorporate all the minor arcana's main... I forget how those called. Parts? Well, let's call those parts. Like, in card decks, they're usually spades, hearts, diamonds. So are the same, similar thing in tarot. There are 4 parts, and those parts are pentacles, cups, wands, swords. And I find tarot really fascinating from that point of view, because all of those 4 parts have completely different energies, different meanings, and also they tell their own stories, each of the cards, each of the things that are there. Like the major arcana has the story of life in it, where you start with the full card, which is 0, and you end on the full card, which is also 0. Full can be put anywhere in the major arcana, and it would still make sense, because no matter where you are in life, you still will end up being a fool. You will still have to learn new things, you will still have to be excited about something, so you would be able to move forward where you want to be, to become who you want to be, and to be able to meet people with who you want to spend time with. So change in the end is inevitable, and the only way to move with it is to pretend or be a fool. And if you think that you don't have to change, that you can stay on one place forever, that you don't have to ever grow up, that is quite foolish in itself. Because everyone else will move on, will start their own lives, will start doing their own things, and change will come with your help or without it. And life will move forward. Honestly, I thought that I will have much more to talk about these things, but seems like nope, I don't have that much to talk about. So right now I am in the sculpt trying to fix the issues that I had, trying to improve the mesh so I would be able to make it talk and blink how I want it to blink, because I don't want it to blink correctly, I want it to blink in my way. Also trying to right now with making seams, so I would be able to texture paint and get the result that I want. With texture painting, when I was first thinking about how to make this project, how to color it, I was thinking that this project will be completely different a bit, in a way, like that I will just make in Unity that all the parts can be separated, all the parts can be taken off at any moment, so if you don't feel like you are having legs today, you could take it off. But one thing that I didn't think about was optimization, and how much I care about it. Because, like, from the first Blender projects, I was always thinking about optimization and about all the things that I need to know so I'd be able to create what I want. And because of that, it is basically ingrained in me that if there is a possibility to somehow optimize, that I should try to do it. Also, I didn't like that it wasn't Quest compatible. since I do not like that somehow my creation's visibility is limited, since I think my creation is very beautiful, very amazing, very wonderful. It's a beautiful fool. So, yeah, it seems like I again put the same video in about retopology. Oh no, and I am not willing to edit it. I'm right now questioning for how long will the... No. Oh no. Oh no. And I just fucked up. Okay, I didn't fuck up that badly. It's fine if you want to. We can both sit here and rewatch retopology because I am not willing to re-record the audio in which I am already talking for 20 minutes. Yeah. What else? Fool. Oh, about the face of the fool. Like when I was making the face, when I started the project, I didn't want to make the face of the fool. I didn't think it needed a face, because I thought that it would limit the imagination and limit perspective and perception about the fool, which I didn't want to do, because, as I said, fool doesn't see the limit. Oh, I didn't say that yet. Well, fool doesn't see the limit. Fool thinks that everything is possible, and that they will achieve the result that they want. So yeah, it is funny. And with the face that I was making, I thought that it looked like a bit like Grinch, not gonna lie. That wasn't what I was meaning to do, but I thought it was very funny. Let's somehow end up with the face of a Grinch on a project that I didn't intend to make for Christmas, because I don't really like Christmas. Not really a fan of the holiday, not gonna lie. And basically color it and make it shiny for Christmas. It's funny that in my head I was thinking for everything about this fall for so many hours, and now that I'm starting to talk about it and putting everything that I thought about in a video, somehow all the thoughts, all the information, everything somehow seems to have disappeared. Somehow, somewhere. But it was foolish of me to not make a plan, to just think that somehow all my thoughts that I was overthinking about this project for multiple hours, multiple days. I probably overthought about it like hundreds of hours, and somehow I ended up with, yeah, I don't know what to talk about. Okay, since we were talking about fool, maybe we should start about talking about how to start. How to start the projects, things that we want to achieve, how to move forward with and learning things that we want to learn, but don't know how to start learning. So, usually when I don't know how to learn something, I first try to understand what is the minimum, what is the basics of basics. What is the most needed knowledge in that subject? Like, without it, if you don't know it automatically, it will be quite impossible, quite unachievable. So, when I find that information, or I don't, because sometimes there's way too much information, like with Blender. Like, where do you even start with Blender sometimes? Like sculpting, rendering, texture painting, hard surface modeling. Okay, like if you start with Blender, you have two options, hard surface modeling and sculpting. But still, that's a lot of information to take in and a lot of things to learn. So how do you decide where to start? So you have to make a goal. What is your goal? Where do you want to end up? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to know? Because if you try to learn to make a character, like that's your goal, why would you want to try to learn how to make a car? Like, yes, that knowledge will be useful for later, but if you immediately want to see results and finished product, which is important when you're starting anything new, and have that project inspire you to continue, you have to have that project fit your goal. What do I mean? Like, when I first tried to make a VRChat character, I already had some knowledge about Blender since before then. I had at least 4, 5, maybe more times had quit it. So I already knew how to move in Blender. I knew how to grab things, how to rotate them, how to make shapes. But because in my mind I had all the limitations that somehow I have to do them all perfectly, have all the right answers immediately, that somehow there is only one way, the correct way to make things in Blender correctly. Because that's how tutorials make it seem, that the best way is the only way, which I don't like. There are so many options, so many things, and like, even if you're doing it wrong and you get to your result, are you really doing it wrong? Are you really foolish for that? Like, you still got to your goal even though you went the wrong way. So that was my problem when I first started Blender first 4 times. Like, I still remember how many times I have cried over it before completely being able to understand and think that, okay, maybe I have enough knowledge to teach something about it. And it took so much time, so much effort. But each time, because I had every time some finished project that was making me look and see that I'm getting closer to my goal of creating a character and being able to create characters that I want without any help, without any tutorials, it each time somehow became easier and easier to try new things, to try something new, to experiment with the tools and try to achieve what I want. Because each time, each and every day, I saw that I can create something that is getting me closer to my goal, even if I don't see it, because progress takes time. There's no immediate progress. If there would be, I would gladly just go once a year, once in 10 years to the gym and never go back again. But no. There are no immediate results, and there are no immediate progress, and there are no immediate creations. And even if you think that they are immediate, then if it seems effortless and like it's easy and like somehow it doesn't take much time, then most likely that person has put so many hours in, so many projects before, so many things that they had learned before to be able to create those things effortlessly. So they would seem effortlessly. I like that old saying, or if it's not a saying, I don't know who said it, about how if it looks easy, it's most likely hard. If it looks hard, it's most likely easy. And from my perspective, because Blender feels right now so easy, so many things in it feel so easy and effortless, I remember each time how I started, how I wasn't able to make the characters that I want. And I probably still have things to improve, to learn. Okay, not probably. I have a lot to learn. I have a lot of things to study, and I'm just really procrastinating in a different way because I want to just continue doing what I like in a way that I like. Which doesn't mean I stop improving. It just I start to experiment with the knowledge that I have. I try to find the flaws, try to find how to make the effects, how to make the things differently, with the same thing over and over again, and also find out what is the limit. What is the limit of the Blender on my laptop? What do I mean? I crash quite a lot. Like when I started, I crashed so much because I was using Smart UVs to texture paint, and some of the times when the first projects where I used retopology and first projects where I really chaotically put UV maps, if I put way too many of them at the same time, if I picked up way too big of a brush, if something like that happened, like each time, each and every time, I needed to start texture painting again and again and again. Thank God the first project ever in Blender that I finished completely. What do I mean finished completely? I made hard surface mesh, I made shape keys, I rigged it, I colored it. I think I spent on the coloring at least 4 hours. And I was like, how did I spend so much time only coloring it? But I really enjoyed it. But yeah, first time coloring it, I think at least once or twice it crashed. And like, it's okay that it crashed, because each time when it crashes, I get a different idea. I learn how to improve on that idea, and I know exactly how I want it to look. I learn how exactly I want it to feel, seem, how it needs to change, so it would seem better for me, so it would feel better for me. So, after you find out what is the minimum information for the goal that you want to achieve, and you have decided that you have smaller goals that will keep you in progress, keep you checked, then you have to decide what is the minimum viable product that you will consider as a creation. What do I mean, consider creation? if you have watched lesson 0, I'm talking there about the fact that if you create a Blender project, for those who create and watch that lesson, I think that even if you open Blender file, delete all the meshes, all the shapes in there, create an object and save the file, that is a finished creation. Why do I see and think that it is a finished creation for those that start out or just want to try Blender? Because when you take something big and you have a big goal, and the bigger the goal, the scarier it is to start. So you have to start with the smallest thing that you can think of. And in me, for Blender, that was the smallest thing. Opening the file, deleting everything, creating shape, and saving it. You did the minimum. You did the minimum to make the creation. That is the smallest thing. And if you did that, when you start out, and you were willing to be a fool, then you did something. You were brave enough to do it, and you should be proud of yourself. But the longer you will study Blender, the longer you will get inspired, the more you will want to learn, the bigger your goal for the minimum viable product for you will be. Like for me, every day making a project that is 30 to 60 minutes long, plus in the background not showing, slowly making tarot cards, plus thinking and studying previous knowledge, repeating it so I could make 4 lessons. Like, I don't know how I ended up here, but somehow I just ended up with so much things to do in Blender, with Blender. And that is not counting what I need to learn about characters. What I want to learn about characters. Like, how do people perceive it? How it affects other people? What is the subconscious? And that's just psychological things that I want to know. And it is so funny. Like, it started with a thought that I want to just create a character, one finished character for VRChat. I created it. I didn't even post it on Instagram. And then, slowly making characters over time, and making an Instagram account, YouTube, TikTok, and slowly posting them there, trying to show them. I remember a time when I was afraid to post a picture of my character in Blender and just write a caption. Like, I was fucking terrified. Like, it was the most terrifying thing that had happened to me in a while. Then it was like, okay, after I should probably start making videos about them. Start to try to do that. I was afraid to even upload that video. What if someone says that I'm wrong, incorrect, or something different? But somehow I got through that. Then somehow I felt that, okay, I didn't feel, someone gave me an idea that I should try to record my voice, and I tried to do that. I remember first time trying. To upload a video with my voice, I re-recorded, remade, rewrote, retried just about 100 times, or even more, just so the audio would be correct as I wanted to be. And each time, each video, I think till like some 60th video or 5th, no, till some 30th video that I had on YouTube and TikTok, I always like re-recorded every one of those videos at least 50 times. Like re-recorded audio, like each time I didn't like it, I re-recorded every time. And it in the end so annoyed me that it took me so long time that I just was like, okay, it doesn't matter, I will try my best, and if my best is my worst, it is okay, at least I'm trying. And then I started having fun and just it didn't take that much time anymore, because then it became not that important, it was just something that I do. Slowly building on the habit, slowly building on the goals, until you get where you want to be. That is the main purpose. And now we're gonna talk about JBake add-on, which is also dream come true. I love it. Yes. Like, JBake has, like, I crash in cycles. Like, I cannot use cycles. Like, if I use cycles, the same quality I can get in Eevee. I'm not even joking. Like, for cycles to work, I have to make the same quality as an Eevee, like the same basically renditions. Like, it's just funny. So JBake really helped me out. I just love it. Like, thank you to the creator. I'm afraid to butcher the name. I will put it in the description. Okay, and now we're gonna talk about coloring. So when I start coloring, I usually want to start with the dark and light values. Why do I want to start with dark and light values? So if I mess everything up, because usually I cannot decide the color like 10, 20, 30 times, because it needs to be pretty in my eyes. And colorful. Pretty and colorful. And chaotic. That's the goal. And because of that, to achieve that goal, it usually takes a lot of renditions in Clip Studio. I know the drama about Clip Studio, but I already paid it, and they already were able to prove in court that Clip Studio 1 is a different product than the one they are trying to make people pay for the subscription for. So it's a gray area. Like, if you don't have Clip Studio and you somehow decide that you want to chaotically make texture paint your creations as I do, I would suggest trying some editing softwares, picture editing softwares, and just trying to do those things there. Like, if you have knowledge in them. If you don't, try to find the free ones. Most likely, when I will get deeper into texture painting, I will have to find free ones either way and try to use them and learn, since I don't want anyone to think that somehow making a creation or doing something is behind a paywall. Since basically Blender lets you do anything you want for free. You want to make a story, you can do it. You want to make a character, you can do it. You want to make a scene for buildings in game, you can do it. You want to do an animation, do it. There are so many possibilities, so many things, and that is just wonderful. Wonderful and beautiful. At this part I still didn't have a clue and didn't know that I will color emissions and make this character shiny. It is funny to think in the past that I still didn't know while creating it things about this, and still somehow ended up with a result that I like. And here's the chaotic part, where I in Club Studio edit every mesh, every picture. Probably there's an easier way, faster, but I don't know it. And since I don't know it, I just do it the hard way because I am too lazy to learn. And it is okay to be lazy. And it's okay to try again and try again and try again. Because in the end, everyone is a fool. And in the end, everyone can decide how much they want to do or how much they don't want to do. Everyone has free will. I'll probably need to put the flashing image warning again before texture painting. Or somewhere in the video. Yeah. So, first when I colored it, as I said before, I didn't know what colors I want or don't want. So, when I finally, second, I think, after the second day, I decided and I thought, okay, I should make it a Christmas themed since one of the friends inspired me that it would be a cool idea to create a Christmas avatar. So I decided that I will color it Christmassy and give it lights and make it shiny because I thought that it needed more values, more different lights and shadows because it didn't have enough. Because of all the rendering of the colors, all the things, it just somehow didn't work out. And because of that, I added lights and shadows. And then a day later, I decided that this is gonna be a Christmas one. That it is gonna be shiny. And then I decided, when I finally got texture painting done, I decided that I need to optimize it. And it was fun. I crashed so many times. So many times trying to change things, trying to learn how to bake, merge textures. And like, the video tutorials probably are great, but I tried to follow them, I failed. So instead I thought, okay, what is the most manual, most minimal way I could do it? And I came up with the idea that it is Clip Studio. How did I come up with that idea? Because I tried importing my file into Blender 2.93 and tried with ClickCat's plugin to merge all the textures, and I saw that all the UV maps, because they only merge UV maps from all the textures, which was funny. They only put the squares together, basically, like the images all together in one file, squished them, and didn't change the shape of the mesh and the UV on the wrapped part. And I thought, okay, so that means that I can do that manually. I can create those things manually. And so I did. But I think I didn't record that part. Yeah, So basically, this creation is at least 29 parts together. That is only recorded parts. That without the recorded that I had forgotten to record, since sometimes I just open the file and start creating automatically without recording, which is my problem. It is more like 35, 36 parts. Like, recorded parts are 10, 11 hours. Non-recorded, probably 4, 5 or more. Okay, with baking and crashing, probably more. Since that was a fun part. Yeah. And also, it took me like 2 weeks to create this character, fully come up with the idea, fully decide what do I want to do with it, how do I want to create it, and I still haven't decided how the card or how the house will look like. So this is still finished, like character is finished, though the card and house will be later. When later, I don't know, when I'll feel like it, like when I want to create it, because Blender is right now fun, and I'm trying to keep it fun. Because I like that it is fun for me. And that I can create it anything I want, anything I need, and anywhere I want to go. It somehow has everything. And it is so much fun experimenting and trying to test its limits. Also, I wanted to show how it looks in VRChat, but the problem with it is, later you'll see, that when I tried to record it, it slowed down so much, so much, the recording, that it made it seem like that it is not recorded but just pictures put together somehow, which was fun realization, since I basically needed to check that and then try to think of another way to show it. Also, one thing I found out while making characters, that in some lightings, if you keep the rendering in Eevee and then put it in Unity, that it, with mobile shaders standard, it keeps the same, like, look, the same coloring. And this is the video, this is the creation, how it looks. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching who somehow got to this point in the video. If you got here, I don't know how did you do that, but congratulations and thank you for watching. Bye bye!